Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the replayXstudio. We're here with another episode of The Witcher, episode 2 of the second season. We're off to a very strong start in the very first episode. Much like season 1, I think this is going to be uh, one of the best episodes within the season itself. I'm prepared for them to outdo themselves. But I was really impressed with the last episode. As I've mentioned many times, my introduction to the Witcher universe was actually a video game, so I'm looking forward to seeing more of these side stories. I'm interested in the main story. I am, but much like the game, I just found that a lot of the the situations that we found ourselves in outside of the main plot point was they're always so well thought out and well done. And having a sense of irony to them, even with Neville's story here. In the beginning, we were sympathizing with him, not knowing the full truth about, how he came to be cursed. And he was given this curse, which I believe gave him ability, gave him magic. I'm not sure if he had magic before. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, if he had magic before, I would think his dad would have been much prouder of him than just the one time that he mentioned. So I don't know if the curse came with the appearance and gave him magic, or if he has magic as a human. Um, but yeah, the curse itself gives you something that you want, but it also takes something from you. And as I said, I would take the curse if it came with magic. I would definitely opt to take that curse. But Nevlin had to live a life alone until he came upon the Bruxa, which I've heard some viewers say, they sympathize with the Brooksa because she's in a similar position as Nevlin. Um, and I can see that. I can see it from that point of view. She's a slave to her thirst, as much vampires are when we do, in lore that we do meet. I think she genuinely cared for Ciri when she met her, and she having to meet someone who's like her, which I don't think is something she's come across often. And Ciri wasn't frightened of her, or scared, or running away from her, or screaming. So from that perspective, I can definitely understand it. But I do know in the world of The Witcher, vampires are not like they are in other lore and mythology. They're not created but from other humans. They're an entirely different species from us. And so I don't think she led she was a human leading a good life and then she was turned. She was always this thing. But I guess it's just a question of whether, because she's different, that makes her a monster or not. Neville himself said it's the deeds that make you a monster, and she has been killing villagers, so that would make her a monster. Yeah, so I was quite intrigued that they chose that as a theme of the first episode. The monster, who's the monster, or what makes a monster. And I imagine we're going to be exploring a bit how Ciri may see herself as that thing because she fears her power so much. And as Marine said at the very end, that he will come for you too. It more than likely this will be in her mind. She'll be thinking about this for quite some time until she comes to the realization that Geralt doesn't see her as a monster. Well, we'll see what she does later on, because it does depend on whether, like Vereen, whether she can control, that thing that's inside of her or not. I'm intrigued. I am intrigued. I'm looking forward to getting to Kaer Morhen, if only so we can meet Papa Vesemir. That's the thing I'm looking forward to the most. Again, having coming off Nightmare of the Wolf, which I absolutely loved. And I imagine we'll meet Eskel and Lambert, who were in the games. I'm not sure if they were in the books or not. I know there were still very few Witchers in novels, but I'm hoping we get Eskel and Lambert here, especially Lambert because he's a prick, and I'm curious to see how this Geralt handles, someone who's a bit uncontrollable. While we do, as much as they do say a lot of the Witchers have their emotions trained out of them, it appears as though for most Witchers they have one dominant emotion that rules them. Geralt seems to be kindness. You can't seem to help it. Lambert is on the opposite end of that spectrum, and so I'm just intrigued to see those two go at it or play off each other. You know, I love that in the game, and I'm hoping to see something similar here, as well as Papa Vesemir and how he raised his boys. So can't wait. Episode 2, let's check it out. The hell?
I was only at the market, Yen. You made more than a few pennies thanks to your garden.
Okay, someone's having a fantasy. This is definitely not real. Girl going to the market.
Me and her. The family we always dreamed.
Yeah, definitely a dream. I'm guessing Yen, because she's always wanted a child. Oh. Oh my god, okay.
Give her to me. She's ours.
An elf. You know, now that I think about it, that story that Nevelyn, that Nevelyn was telling in the last episode about the elf and the human coming together and finally and having a child. I do wonder if that child was actually Yennefer that was mentioned.
Wake up. Don't touch me.
Yeah, they were definitely taken by elves. Interesting. Have they taken off the Dimetrium shackles? If not, then you have no power. Well, look who it is. That's Philavandrel, right? A sentiment shared by many.
I've seen so many elves.
I need to see her. I got better gifts.
Be quiet. I thought Phil only had like a small group with him when he saw him last. This looks like a lot.
Set us free, and we promise to grant
Don Nildin Sith ticket. An elf. Istredwak Makarum Yin Grethit.
No, half elf. I'm not sure how they feel about halflings here.
Do you honor our elders?
Probably not.
String them up.
We've been digging here for weeks. Every passing day increases the risk of us being found.
You don't need our people anymore, Philibert.
Oh, it is Phil. It is Phil. He looks a bit different. Oh, she's on the warpath. Okay. Yes, Phil wanted to just keep his head down and just survive. Not that I'm opposed to them getting back at the humans after everything they've done, but I don't know that they have the numbers for that. But if anything, now would be a good time since the humans are fighting amongst themselves, divided, so now's the time. We're here!
This is your home. How many did you say there were?
Not many.
Last I checked, we were 20.
Okay.
Now,
Not a whole lot.
maybe less.
I mean, one died last season. Yeah, maybe he's already checked that, factored that one in.
Where the fuck have you been?
We thought you got lost or killed.
Not yet. Sorry.
Ah, Vesemir! And he's brought A gift. He's gonna need to explain this one, especially since she's not gonna be turned. Yeah, Vesemir looks concerned at the least. Let's see if I can figure out who Lambert is. Assuming that he's here.
Her husband saw leaving their room. No. It was the fucking field hand.
This could be Lambert.
Oh, now she's wailing. Oh.
Not quite the asshole yet, but could be.
Of your faces is cause enough for celebration.
Hmm.
You're safe. You made it back. You made it home.
You're forgetting the fucking past.
That sounds like Lambert.
Who's ready?
Oh, Eskil. Okay.
You alright? Run like that.
Eskil.
Lasted 6 hours. Oh, I'd have got the fucker too. If I hadn't lost my Alexis. Took her hand though.
Uh-oh. Eskil is usually a sweetheart. You know, I don't know if they've changed his personality a bit here.
Who the hell are you?
You're not a princess anymore, princess. Sloppy footwork, girl.
I brought her here so she'd be safe. It's easier for me to protect her within these walls.
Long enough to watch Francis.
Exactly. Learn who she is, what she is.
But remember what happened the last time witches shoved their noses into the dramas of courts and kingdoms. What if you...
Was that why you got wiped out, though?
I know that.
I know the Nightmare of the Wolf changed a few things from the novels, but yeah.
Princess.
Let's go. I'm just exploring. Told girl
There are none.
Isn't the castle, Your Highness? They're all shells.
You guys could do a better job of patching things up, though. It's interesting that Eskil here is a bit of a hard ass. You know, that's not usual. That's not typically what I'm accustomed to in Eskil. Or perhaps once he gets to know her a bit better, he'll warm up to her. He's behaving more like what I've expected Lambert to be like.
A black robe. How did you know that?
Had the same dream.
I dreamt of one in red. And
No, you don't know what. You don't even know what the hell it means. Well, I guess it's best try something before you get hung.
Really what the hunters could find. These woods are scarce of life.
I mean, you have an elven mage. Can't you guys conjure something up?
They lick the boots of humans. The same boots that will eventually crush their necks.
Oh, brother. Okay.
How much longer must we search in vain?
Each sun sets on fewer elves. Our land is staged. Our elf is dead. Even our caves at the edge of the world have fallen to monsters. But we mustn't.
So both her and Phil have the
bright
same
elven future.
motivations in that they want their people to survive, but she wants to go about it another way. I'm with Phil on this one. I don't think trying to go to war with humans at this point is the smart thing to do.
The Hemlon you were playing.
The White Flame wants to punish the very people who oppress yours.
Yeah, I don't think they want an alliance with Nilfgaard.
Or tell me, does the White Flame intend to hand Zinthrea back when he's done dancing on Calandis?
Are you the Philavandrel of the songs? The edge of the world, the leader who...
On that Dandelion song? No.
Faith's a simple medicine for our desperate souls.
Faith sustains us all in dark times.
Interesting.
Your seduction whilst charming. Whilst the cunning of your father's.
We've dreamt of round figures too. Guiding us. As is red.
I don't know. It sounds more like Fringilla's aligned with the other woman. I forget her name. You know, allowing Faith to guide her actions. Huh? I think they've at least gotten some. They've gotten an ear in Philavandrel. He's at least willing to listen. That's a start.
So what we'll be doing here then? Studying monsters.
Did you forget where you were coming from? Almost dying? You're in no position to be complaining here. Relax.
Training?
Training is dangerous.
She needs to learn, though.
So it's the man with the black-winged helmet.
You need to teach her to protect herself at the very least. Can't imagine anyone would roll up on a Witcher's castle just like that. Okay. Not what I thought. Interesting. Where would these people have come from? This is a long way to the Witcher's keep. Like, I can't imagine they just happened to be strolling through.
Shouldn't be here.
I hear that you have
Yeah,
a
how
daughter.
are they here? Why are they here?
I thought the softest thing about you is that you paid.
She's not my daughter.
Well, in that case, I can take her in. She'd have the
Boy's eating out of her hand.
No. Interesting. I can't imagine Vesemir said okay to any of this.
A regular client, the druid. He was telling me Leshy's...
And Eskel is more and more starting to feel like Lambert.
They're beautiful.
We don't pay for talk. Me and the boys, we come back here, all banged up. Rock troll bust Lambert's eye, a werewolf took a junk out of Cohen's ass. And what do you come back with?
It's not going well.
Go to bed.
Just keep Cyrilla hidden. I don't know. At the very least, they won't know what she looks like. But they've already said that she's there, so it's already a risk.
This one's different. The arrival of monsters.
Conjunction of the
Conjunction of the
spheres.
spheres.
Your dreams. Tell me.
What's yours first?
Yeah, she wasn't asking.
In my vision, I'm lost in a maze of dead bodies. Ithaline guides me clear the labyrinth, where I see the sun rise on a new elven kingdom.
My guide's not Ethelyn. It's a mirror.
And they're all pretending to know what the hooded persons are because none of them saw their faces.
What are you doing?
called the Mother of Forests, the Deathless Mother, nesting in dreams. The rest is gibberish.
No, it's an incantation about a hut. These are our ancestors kneeling, worshipping. Perhaps this deathless mother's one of the old gods.
Interesting.
First you say it's Ethelyn, and you say it's one of the old gods.
What designs would either help with two humans?
Okay. Apparently, there's some interest.
She's calling us.
It says turn back.
Newcomers always struggle sleeping the first nights. It's the chill.
I wonder why Vesemir was opposed to her
Cliff
coming
was one
here.
of the first Witchers.
Clef.
This monster's a demon. Longish thing. She wreaked havoc until the witches found her deep in the forest. That's what she used to kill him.
It's not a story, is it?
Declan was killed by a man right in these halls. He taught me everything I know.
Yeah,
Being a
Declan.
witcher.
R.I.P. Declan. You did some shady stuff, but your grandmother did.
Be protected here.
It's hard to do when I don't know who I'm protecting. Or what I'm protecting.
What else is there to know, though? Hasn't she already told them all that she knows? She doesn't know what her power is. She just knows she has them, and I think Geralt knows that. Oh man, no. Oh. Piece of the lesson is still in him. Oh. Wait, all this is beneath the crypt? The hell?
Hut with no doors. The inscription. The Mother of Forests. The deathless mother nesting in
Oh.
dreams. Turn your back to the forest. Hut. Hut.
Here it
Turn
comes.
your front to me. Hut.
That's pretty cool. I see you.
Have you seen Cirilla?
Yeah, I saw her pounding white gold and dancing on the table.
Funny.
Chad, then I sent him to bed. Are you sure you're ready for this?
Nope.
You were the last surviving Witcher after Kaer Morhen fell. You and a batch of
Is he
mutated.
the last surviving Witcher or just for the School of the Wolf?
But you protected us anyway.
There are other schools,
No.
right?
I told you how to fend for yourself.
So you need to do the same. Where's Eskel? Come on, he's the only one that's missing, guys.
Build your wits, boys.
I'll secure the guests. I'll check the wing. I'll check the perimeter. Follow me. Get a move on. Let's go.
This is not good.
Look alive, girl. We've got company.
What are you doing? Stay back. Hey! Don't barge into a girl's room raving about a sword, you moron. Stand guard outside.
That was not the time for that. I don't trust this woman. I don't trust this woman. She already knew there was a girl here. She's been asking too many questions, and now she wants him conveniently outside. Something's up. Surely they wouldn't be killing Eskel off already. You only just met him. Inside the belly of the hut. Are you? I wouldn't start celebrating just yet.
I know what you are.
An old wives' tale for children. Are you a child, Fringilla?
I'm scared. And I don't do help.
Yes. You don't need anyone.
You have nothing.
I don't know if I can trust these things or whatever they are.
Power. That's what you live for. That's your play. It's for the desperate. You're the desperate one, you know.
Oh, he'll never tell you what I will. The path to true strength lies not in humble faith, but in believing in oneself.
Concealing one's destiny.
Does he mean elves? I can see Francesca aligning herself with her, but
the first pure elf for years. A new hope for a brighter...
Why does it always have to be Frost? Seems to be giving all of them false hope.
Faith was better than yours.
Yeah, I don't think this is what any of them think it is. That's not Emir and that's not Italy. I don't know what this thing is, but... yeah. They're aligning Fringilla and Francesca together. This is not good for Yen.
Remember this lesson?
Her powers have waned. She did use fire magic, which is apparently forbidden. I didn't know that before the last episode. So has she been cut off?
It's really late. It's really late.
Farewell, chaos. What will she live for now?
It's really late. It's really late.
This is gonna hit her hard.
Damn it! Fucking parlor tricks.
Yes. Denial. A tasty garnish.
They're one and the same person. What does she want?
I want your desperation.
There's got to be more to this than just the old witch that wants to eat the children.
And I will.
I'm guessing the woman he was with is already dead. It would be a good idea to go and get reinforcements. Now that you know where the threat is. Alright, let's have a look at our lesson. It's fire. Esco's in there.
Carol.
I hope they can save him. I don't want him to die already. Why did he put the fire down? I guess, I mean, he wants to save him, but probably needs the fire for that. Ah, cool. Come on, fight it, Esco.
him back here.
Where's Vesemir, man? Finally. Yeah, running from Vesemir. Hey, that was Lambert?
What's the quickest
The
way
hell?
out, girl? The stairs to the north end of the hall, a turret to the south. I don't know. All right, come on. No, we have to stay. Geralt.
Geralt may be dead already.
You'd best stay put. This is turning into a nightmare. Come on, girl, say stay put, stay put.
What is this? It's Eskel. Unless she's infected him. That's not possible.
I shouldn't be able to create new ones. Alright. Tag team. Two of them can take care of this. Sorry, Eskel. He hasn't used the Igni yet. Why isn't he using Igni? Okay. Oh, he's using it on the blade. Did he have to stab him in the heart though? Damn, Eskel. Damn it.
You did what you had to do.
I can't believe they killed Eskel off already. Okay.
There you are. It's all right.
Okay, why is she acting strange?
Only them. Francesca claims that the old gods want an alliance between the elves and Nilfgaard.
Yeah, I figured.
Then you're both fools. You know that evil witch is no god.
I know, but my faith brought me this far. I'll see how much further it can take me.
That sounded like ambition. Impossible.
Not as impossible as you find it. If she really is that evil, why does she let you go?
Does she really not have access to chaos anymore? In which case she's powerless, and this is gonna be a rough ride for her. It's to honor their fallen brother.
Times are changing. Even here. Nowhere safe.
Can create a portal. Where is she going? Back to Aretuza? I mean, she may as well. I'm not sure they're going to be as welcoming as she thinks. Maybe Tisea will, but I'm not sure about the others. She has an amazing scream. Alright, episode 2 of The Witcher. Another fantastic episode. We finally made it to Kaer Morhen. I'm quite shocked that we lost Eskel as soon as we did. Both Eskel and Lambert are two characters that I was looking forward to the most. Lambert was there. I didn't realize until towards the end that Lambert is who they were referring to when they said lamb chop. But mostly because their personalities appear to be switched. You know, Eskel was behaving more in the way that I expected Lambert to actually behave. You know, so that was a bit weird. But you know, Eskel is out of the picture. Unfortunately. But I don't mind it so much because I don't want, yeah, as much as I was happy to see the two return, I don't want them to retread the same story beats that we did in the game or perhaps in the books. So this is an opportunity to shed a light on different Witchers, other Witchers. So I'm all for that. Lambert is there, as I mentioned. What I did want to see the dynamic between Geralt and the other Witchers, and we did get that in this episode. You know, he showed up. It was all that brotherly love, but then there's also tension when they disagree on certain things. And Vesemir, of course, being the father who doesn't step in until he absolutely needs to. But he seemed to have been a bit hesitant to have Ciri come there to begin with. And, you know, it's understandable when he explained it that he doesn't know what he's protecting her from. And she needs to just be as open as possible. But I don't know why I feel as though she has already told them everything she knows. They know that she was a princess of Sintra, and her family was slaughtered by Nilfgaard. I think she mentioned to Geralt that, you know, she had a conversation in the last episode that she feels like she wants to burn down the world. I don't know if she's told him specifically that she has seen the power that she has, or whether he thinks she was just speaking metaphorically or not, you know. So I thought she had already come clean to him, but maybe she hasn't quite yet, and you know, they still have a ways to go before she opens up a bit more to him. But he has learned now that, you know, he needs to at least help her train so she can be prepared to defend herself if necessary. But he wants her to know that this is to save lives and to defend herself, not for vengeance, you know, and not for hate and out of fear. And of course, it was an interesting tie to Nightmare of the Wolf. You know, they had a bit of a tie-in there with Vesemir mentioning the events that took place there and his mentor, who he lost during that battle as well. So that was very interesting. I still don't trust the woman that was at the castle. They highlighted her, and then nothing came of it. But I do feel as though we're going to be seeing her again. The mere fact that she had history with Geralt, she knew him, however many decades ago, and she knew he had a girl there because I'm assuming Eskel or one of the other Witchers ran their mouth off, but. She was opting to take Ciri off the girl's hands, and then she quickly ushered Lambert out of the room as soon as he got there to protect them. So I think when she leaves the castle, I do think, you know, perhaps she's going to cross paths with someone and she may sell the information that she has about Ciri's whereabouts to someone else. So I think there's a more to that. Yeah, it just odd her just showing up there. We know that Eskel brought them there to dull his pain, but, you know, it just seemed a bit too convenient for the time. I think anyone would be hesitant to go to the castle where all the Witchers live, you know, even to just have fun. So that was quite interesting. But, you know, the castle itself looks absolutely stunning. As I've said in the last episode, the budget seems to have gone up for this season, and I am loving it. The look of the Leshen that we got in this was brilliant as well. And interesting, they seem to be borrowing some concepts from the Nightmare of the Wolf, where the monsters have been, you know, experimented on, perhaps. You know, Geralt was looking at the arm of the Leshen that Eskel brought back, and he was noticing a few things. And then the obvious, of course, which is the Leshen turning Eskel into a Leshen itself, which is unusual and unheard of, according to Vesemir. That shouldn't be possible. So they're borrowing a few elements from Nightmare of the Wolf. I've never, again, I don't think I've encountered that in the games where, you know, monsters are acting outside of the norm in that, to that extent, you know. But here they certainly are. And again, we got a glimpse of that in Nightmare of the Wolf, and it seems to be carrying over here as well. So this Leshen was able to implant a piece of itself inside another person, and that person becomes a Leshen. So that's very, very interesting. Unfortunately, Eskel ended up at the end of the sword in that one, which, yeah, sad. Rest in peace, brother. Yeah, and we of course had the adventure with Fringilla and Yennefer. And what I found interesting about that one is Yennefer having lost her abilities or her access to chaos. I'm not sure whether it is that it's an after effect of her using fire magic, as in, you know, since it was forbidden, or maybe it's forbidden for that reason, or is it a case where Aretuza turned off her access to magic? Because we know Aretuza acts as sort of a repository for magic for them to draw on, for other mages to pull on. So is it that they've taken that away from her because she has broken that rule? If that is the case, that's a shitty thing to do, because she did save them at Sodden. Yeah, maybe really unfortunate if that is what happened. I can't see Tissaia agreeing to that, unless perhaps she thinks she's dead and maybe she just felt, okay, yeah, she's dead, so we may as well. But yeah, I can't see her doing that. In any case, she may not have a choice, because as much as she was opposing the other guy, I forget his name, but I don't think Tissaia is the leader of the mages at this point, so she may not have a say. Whatever the case it may be, I think this might be a good thing for Yennefer. I think it may be a good thing for her. I think she has gotten obsessed with obtaining power to the point where she has forgotten why she wanted power in the first place. But what may happen here is that she may tap into the magic from her elven blood, which is not something that she has been able to. I don't think something she's focused on doing before. So she may be able to use magic without relying on Aretuza for chaos, and that would be interesting. So we met Francesca as well in this episode, who's now the elven leader. Not Phil Evangel, according to Dandelion's stories, unfortunately, which were embellished to say the least. But we caught it back with Phil, and that was a nice tie-in again, because we saw Phil in Nightmare of the Wolf, and he and Vesemir have history. So I would love to see them cross path, or at the very least, they could, Geralt could be telling Vesemir about the time he ran into Phil Evangel, and Geralt could say, wait, I know this elf. The Bard and I ran into him. So it'd be interesting to see if they drop in something like a scene like that. That'd be fun. Yeah, and on their adventure, Fringilla, Francesca, and Yennefer, they came upon this magical hut that it seems clearly not the gods that they thought they actually were, but this witch of some sort, or this entity that just told them the things that it believed they needed to hear. And of course, there's no alliance between Fringilla and Francesca, because they feel as though they're trying to accomplish the same things, which I don't believe they are. I'm with Phil Evangel on this one. I don't think going to war with the humans is the best thing to do. If they do team up with Nilfgaard to, wipe everyone else out, I don't know what they possibly think the outcome will be. Either Nilfgaard will turn on the elves and wipe them out, or if the elves somehow manage to amass the amount of power they need, they'll take Nilfgaard out, which I don't think the elves have that number, so they're at a greater risk here. So I'm not sure that's the best agreement. Who knows? Perhaps this is the White Flame at work, just there to convince Francesca that she needs to work with Fringilla. So that would make a lot more sense. I think she's desperate to bring, to find or make a home for her people. And yeah, so I think he's just desperate to find something to cling on to, and you know, the witch managed to tell her just the thing that she needs to hear, and that's conveniently aligns with what Fringilla wants. So I do feel as though there's some tying to the White Flame in that whole situation. Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to say the least. It's gonna be very, very interesting. But yeah, that was another fantastic episode. I thoroughly enjoyed that one. Happy to see so many more Witchers. Girl said 20 at the start of this episode. We're now down to 19. And that number is only going to continue to dwindle. But yeah, looking forward to the next episode. Alright guys, be sure to post down below, let me know what your thoughts are on this episode of The Witcher. Remember to support the channel and hit like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.